So we recently posted a video about the Delta Guaranteed Universal Life policy as an added benefit for pilots inside their benefit package. And as people were signing up, we talked about the positives of it, where you have a lower taxable value on your W-2 versus the traditional group term life insurance. But we've also seen or have been asked a lot of questions about the investment side of the GVUL. Is this something that you should be adding money to on your own? And so diving deep, I will admit it took me a little while to get them to hand me their prospectus, which I thought was very confusing. Like generally you ask for a prospectus, you should get it pretty quick. But after some finagling, we're able to get MetLife's policy or investment options as well as their prospectus to go through. So if you decide to put extra money into the GVUL policy, you're going to pay a 2.25% transfer fee. So that money, basically look at it as a sales charge. They call it a transfer fee. I call it a sales charge. You deposit $1, 2.25% of that is going to go away in a transfer fee. After you've deposited that money for an investment, you're doing it pre-tax, so you're not having to pay tax on that money, which is a positive. Then after that, you're going to pay for the investment itself. The fees average from 28 basis points to 73 basis points, otherwise 0.28% to 0.73%. If you favor the index, separate managed account index options, you're going to average around 0.55%. In addition to that, you're going to add a mortality and expense fee to it. So that's another 0.9. So just say after you pay the 2.25%, it's going to cost you about 1.45% going forward in fees. Now, again, you get the tax deductibility of it. So if you're in the 37% tax bracket, you're still ahead, but there's going to be a break even at some point. If you're in the 22 or 20% or even marginal 18%, tax bracket, your break even's going to come up a lot sooner for having these high fees inside the account. Another thing that we kind of dived into when we were looking is, what does it cost to loan money? Because they always tell, be your own bank. You hear this in the crypto space too. Invest in crypto, be your own bank. Buy a whole life insurance policy, be your own bank. Well, there are some advantages to it in that the money you put in, you can loan back out to yourself. There's a cost to that. It's around 2% according to the prospectus. So you'll pay 2% in a loan fee, but you're not paying it to yourself like you would in a 401k policy. That 2% actually goes to them. So it's a little different. Like in a 401k plan, you pull out money, you pay roughly around 5.5%, but you're kind of paying it to yourself. You're moving it from one pocket to the other pocket. In this case, that's not exactly true. Is it a good investment? You know, it just really depends. Honestly, it's the last place I'd want to put my money. One, you're putting it in there, you're locking it up, you're growing it at not such an efficient rate. If you invested tax efficiently inside a brokerage account and you did tax loss harvesting during the bad years, I would argue that it's probably better to do that and have liquidity versus locking funds up. But a lot of people are really big on depositing money into this so it grows and you get that tax deductibility right away. I will say this though, I'm speaking as a planner, not so much as an investment manager, but as a planner right now, I kind of wrote down what would I do first before I invested in the GVUL. One is I would eliminate debt. So no credit card debt, get rid of your auto debt, make sure your home is paid off before you set the final parking brake at 65 or prior. We don't always keep our medicals all the way to 65, so maybe even 60 is a good safe trajectory for your home to be paid for. I also make sure before I invest in a GVUL policy that you had enough cash reserves. Do you have enough access to cash? Probably not going to lose our jobs in this current environment, but if you had a medical event or if your wife or spouse lost their position, their job, can you get through 6 months of expenses? So I'd build up 6 months of expenses, have that in reserve in a high yield savings account. The next thing I would do, I would be saving pre-tax into your 401k plan. There's been a lot of talk about converting this money into Roth. I really don't understand that. The math doesn't add up. A lot of the people that are converting that I'm hearing about are in their late 50s, early 60s. At 65, you're going to stop working. Your income's going to go drop way down. If you've created a brokerage account that you can live on, you're going to have very little tax liability for most people. So you have a whole decade to start converting from IRA to Roth in some situations. Obviously, my video today is giving general advice, not specific advice to you. So I would max out the 401k as soon as possible. So now you can get more into the market-based cash balance plan. So max out 401k, do everything pre-tax. Then after that, before I took another tax deduction strategy, I'd probably go back and do a backdoor Roth IRA, but I would do it on the personal side. So you could put up to $7,000 into a IRA, then immediately convert it into a Roth. That you're going to put it into the IRA after tax. That's what they call the backdoor Roth. So that's only about $14,000 a year between a married couple, but it is money that probably would be passed on to the next generation if I had to guess, but it'd be done tax-free. Then after that, I would look at contributing to the GVUL only if you're still in the higher tax bracket. So you've done everything to get out of the 37% tax bracket and you're still there, then I think the GVUL could be a good option. But just remember that your break even is going to be really not that far out versus investing on your own because of the fee structure that they have inside the policy. Also too, when you leave the airline, the policy is portable. So when you leave, you're going to have to keep paying those premiums for the $1 million policy. You should also be able to lower that, so you could lower the death benefit and not have to pay as much. So you should be able to control some of that. But just remember that when you pull the money out, it is going to be taxed as income, not capital gains. And when you pass away, your beneficiaries will inherit this money as income. It doesn't get a step up in basis. When you put money into a brokerage account and you pass away, the day you die, or 6 months, up to 6 months later, you're going to have a step up in what that cost basis is upon your death. So typically GVUL policies are not good for estate planning. And if you think tax rates are going to be higher in the future, or if you have kids who are also going to be, you think would be in a higher tax bracket themselves, this is not the best way for them to inherit assets. So from an estate planning standpoint, annuities, whole life insurance policies really don't do it for me from the investment side. Obviously, the life insurance side would be inherited tax-free if you can afford to keep paying the premiums past age 65. Anyway, financial planning is very specific to you. So if there's if you'd like to go through that journey with us, we do financial planning meetings, typically 3 meetings that focus on all aspects of a pilot's financial life to make sure we get to the end and you have good estate planning in place, a good tax strategy in place, your investments are allocated appropriately, and you're saving in all the right places. Reach out if we can be of any help. Thanks for watching.